When was the last time you had a negative thought, and how did that thought make you feel? Did it make you feel like you could tackle anything, or did it make you feel blah and feeling like you wanted to run to your bed and retreat? Here's the deal. Negative thoughts are like a slow leak in your tire. Just like a slow leak in your tire, eventually it's going to take toll and the tire is unable to do its job as intended. And similarly, negative thoughts deplete your energy, they invade your self-confidence, and they create behaviors in you or that you overtly experience that aren't representative of your best self. In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about negative thoughts and how you can break that negative thought pattern. Here's the fun thing. Once you have success with breaking one negative thought pattern, you're going to feel empowered and excited to take on more of your negative thoughts. One negative thought at a time, you can turn your thoughts into positive, supportive, and motivating thoughts that can help you get the goal that you want and enjoy closer relationships and have confidence in yourself that you may have just never experienced before. I don't know about you, but I need every ounce of motivation, boost of energy, and a little push here and there. So this might help you just as much as it's helped me. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I'm Heather Edwards, a master certified coach, and I'm here to help you build your confidence. Have you ever wished you had the confidence to ask for that raise you want or apply for that dream job? Have you ever wished you could go for a big, audacious goal, like speaking in front of other people or walking into a room of really important people without being scared to go up to someone and speak to them? Well, you're in the right place. Each week, I'm going to share tips and tricks to help you get more comfortable in your skin, build your self-esteem, and gain unshakable confidence. Don't hide in the shadows anymore. If I can do it, so can you. Grab a pad of paper and your favorite pen, and let's get to it. Constant negative thoughts can wear us down and leave us just feeling lost, stuck, overwhelmed, you name it. And that heaviness prevents you and me from becoming our best selves. It prevents us from going for those really bold, audacious goals. It prevents us from showing up in our lives in a way that is energetic and fun. Negative thinking can literally make our lives feel heavy and as if we have a weight holding us down. I don't know about you, but I much prefer to have more fun, be more energetic, and pursue bold goals that I'm excited about because that energy and that excitement is much more fun to wake up to. It just simply is. So let's dive into how we can significantly decrease our negative thoughts. What steps can we take to capture negative thoughts and then change them up to positive thoughts or thoughts that are just more useful? Research shows that negative thoughts can impact your mental and physical health, so this isn't just about increasing your confidence. Yes, it is helpful to increase your confidence, but you're also working on changing your negative thought patterns because it helps you reduce anxiety and stress. And in the meantime, while you're doing that, you're also increasing your cognitive flexibility. One misconception about negative thinking is that you have to replace it with all positive thoughts. And this simply isn't true. You can change things up a little bit and it can be beneficial without it being 100% positive or only positive. I don't want you to take this episode as something that is a toxic positivity episode. I'm not looking for you to clean out all your negative thought patterns to only be positive. It's just not healthy to try to do that, but it's also really not that possible. But you do have a responsibility to yourself to actually really look at what your thought patterns are and what you can change to make a difference in your life. Let's be honest, no one, and I do mean no one, has 100% positive thoughts, at least anyone that's being upfront and honest. We're humans and we are actually driven by our thoughts. What our thoughts are drive us into our actions, and then our actions ultimately become the results that we get out of life. So what's crazy to me, and might be to you as well, is that we have thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. Out of all of those thoughts, some of those are bound to be negative. So give yourself a break. But if you want to change a negative thought pattern, the first step is to actually identify that you have the negative thought pattern. You probably have several negative thought patterns. Maybe you have thoughts around how your spouse spends money, or how much you don't like to go to work, or how much you don't like to work out or eat right. You may have negative thought patterns around politics or around the people who have different political affiliations from you. There are hundreds and hundreds of different thought patterns that you may be able to identify in yourself as negative thought patterns. The second step is actually deciding you have the desire to change the negative thought pattern. If you don't want to change the negative thought pattern, don't. But awareness is really helpful for us to decide, do we want to keep this thought the way we think about this thing, or do we want to explore it and figure out if I can do something to change how I feel about it? Either way, it's okay. You can keep it or you can work on it. It's your choice. The third step is to write out your thoughts attached to that thought pattern. So usually, not always, but usually if we have a negative thought pattern, there are several thoughts that are related to that thought pattern. Every single thought that you can come up with around that particular negative thought pattern, write it down. Because two things happen here. One, when you write it out, you're getting it out of your brain. You're actually seeing it and you're able to visually see the negative thought pattern on paper, which helps you really be a little detached from it, or at least be able to look at it objectively. So that is our next step, and that is being able to look at it objectively and challenge the negative thought. You wrote out the thought, so now you're going to get really, really curious about that negative thought. What about this thought is true? Is anything exaggerated, or is it simply 100% factual and a fly on the wall would say the same thing about whatever your thought pattern is about? Or have you kind of made it the big fish story where you really only got a 12-inch fish and now it's 5 feet long? Are your thoughts original? And what I mean by that is, are you gathering thoughts from other people? Are they influencing you? Or are they simply your thoughts that you've come to around whatever it is that you're thinking about? The other thing is it outdated? Is your thought outdated? What I mean by that is, are you carrying a thought that you had or originally had when you were little, and here you are years later holding on to it? Is it something that happened in school? I had a teacher one time that basically, I had a math teacher that really, I just had some challenges with, and I fully convinced myself through this teacher that I was horrible at math. Ironically, I was really good at math and I was doing really well, but the conflict we had and the things that he said to me just really influenced me. And I carried that thought into adulthood, which is crazy to even think about. Are you carrying a thought that is outdated, creating a negative thought pattern for you? Are you overgeneralizing? And if this is your negative thought pattern, you're basing your generalizations on something that isn't really a fact or reality. So something like, I'm really bad at sports, when reality, maybe you're bad at one sport and you are generalizing over it. Or maybe you say something like, I'm horrible at technology. I've said that a million times, and that's simply not true. I can figure out technology. It simply can challenge me sometimes, but horrible at technology and generalizing that in a bucket of everything is simply not true. It's an overgeneralization of being horrible at technology. Or something like, I never get recognized at work for the good I do. Something like that. Notice, are you really overgeneralizing something and putting everything in one bucket? Or are you not giving credit where credit is due somewhere? Something like that. Really be in tune if that is who you are being when you have a negative thought pattern. The other thing is that you could be borrowing or learning something from someone else with your negative thought pattern. Maybe you watched a parent have a negative thought pattern about something, or maybe you've just experienced it from watching someone else, or even a show you watch all the time. You can be imprinted with other people's information pretty much anywhere you go. It could be from TikTok or Instagram. Be aware of borrowing or learning negative thought patterns from other people, your best friend, your mom, any other influence that might be in your life. And then another good question to ask yourself is this negative thought pattern one that you've always had? Or did something happen that triggered the negative thought pattern? It's just good to know. This whole process and the fourth step is just getting really curious and getting all the facts drawn out about your negative thoughts. If you've never done anything like this, if you've never taken the time to look at your thoughts and evaluate them, it can be pretty tough. It simply doesn't feel normal. It's not something that we normally do. It can be extremely difficult, and it can be definitely difficult to do it in a non-judgmental way with ourselves. The quickest way that I know to get around this is to have somebody help you do this. So if you can enlist a friend, a family member that you trust, or if you have a coworker that's willing to do it, maybe you help each other. And I actually help my clients with this, and I love it. It's one of my most favorite things to do is help them identify their negative thought patterns and work through them. I can usually spot them a mile away because I've just talked to enough people that I can pick it out, and I can pick up on language that people use to describe an event or conversations. And it's just wild to watch how it embeds into the way we describe things, the way we speak about them, and the words that we choose. If you're looking to clean up your negative thought patterns really quickly and you want to move fast, sign up for a discovery call and let's get going. I can help you create a plan that will help you really work through all this quickly. And let me tell you, it is super, super helpful, and it will get you to that next step without a lot in your way. Coaching is also helpful for the next step, which is deciding what you want to do with your negative thought pattern. It seems silly to even say this because you're like, of course, I just want to get rid of it. But sometimes you really aren't ready and willing to challenge the negative thought, and that is okay. But what we need to decide is, are we willing and ready to challenge the negative thought pattern, and are we ready to replace it with a supportive, positive thought? You can do that. Or if you're not able to believe a positive thought that is related to that negative thought pattern, you simply need to build what is called a ladder thought. A ladder thought is kind of a bridge between the two, the negative thought and the positive thought, but it's a thought that you can currently believe. Why this is tricky is positive affirmations. So if you say to yourself, I'm horrible at technology, and you want to go to, I'm fantastic at technology, your brain is not going to go from that to right away to, I'm fantastic at technology. However, you can create a ladder thought, which would be more like, I successfully use technology every single day. That is true for me. I used to always say that I'm horrible at technology. You can literally hear me in other podcasts in my earlier days saying it, to now I say I successfully use technology every day, which is completely true. It's true, and because of that, the feeling does not leave me feeling hopeless or frustrated. I'm horrible at technology. What does it do? It makes me feel hopeless, like I can't do anything about it. The idea, the statement, I successfully use technology every day, it doesn't prevent me from doing anything. It makes me believe that I can go ahead and use technology. It doesn't mean or say that I use technology easily or effortlessly. It just says that I successfully use technology, meaning I can use it. Think about what are you saying, or what are your thoughts that you can transition to a ladder thought and get you where you need to do to feel better about doing something rather than feeling hopeless and frustrated. This formula, this simple little formula to do a thought, it can be used with literally just about anything. Let me give you another example. You may be a parent, a mom who has a daughter, and you think, I really dislike this friend that my daughter is hanging out with right now. She's a bad influence on her. You're probably not going to go straight to, I love my daughter's friend. She's wonderful, and I'm so happy they hang out together. It's not realistic. But let me give you a ladder thought that is a potential for you to use. My daughter enjoys hanging out with her friend. I'm just going to use the name Maddie, and that friend gives her joy. I really like when my daughter experiences joy in her life. You're not talking about anything other than the positive part of what is the experience of Maddie and your daughter hanging out. It doesn't say anything about you liking Maddie. It doesn't say anything about you liking that they're hanging out. It's saying, my daughter enjoys hanging out with her friend Maddie. That is a fact. And if Maddie, it gives her joy to hang out with that friend, and that is true, This is a true statement, and I really like it when my daughter experiences joy in her life. So you're connecting something that is true for you as well to something that is true for your daughter, and it gives you a positive spin or a ladder thought on what could be a possibility. Hopefully that makes sense. It does take a little work to come up with a ladder thought sometimes, but the key about a ladder thought is it has to be believable. Your brain needs to really believe it now. It may not change the fundamental part. For instance, with this situation with Maddie, that you still might have a fear that this might be a bad influence for her to hang out with Maddie, but you're acknowledging the part that you appreciate or the part that is good or could be good for you. Now, can you see you're not lying or faking a positive spin? So if your head is trying to tell you right now, oh, this is just faking it, that is potentially, if you are continuing that negative thought pattern, that will be true for you. But if you learn how to use your brain to your benefit in a way that will help you, because I guarantee you, if you approach your daughter with this ladder thought versus approaching her with, I hate when she hangs out with this person, it is a different approach altogether. So you can do this with so many different things in your life. I'm just picking these two because they seem pretty easy. Technology and a friend hanging out with someone, if you're a parent and your children are hanging out with somebody that they don't like. The other thing is that you can break a negative thought pattern is to change your physical pattern. So think about physical exercise or writing down 5 positive thoughts when you have a negative thought. Or some people use rubber bands to flip their wrist, right? But when you use something physical, like physical exercise, it will actually boost your mood. So going for a walk, or using a mini trampoline, or taking an exercise class. That exercise builds your endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, which are all feel-good hormones and help you. So doing something to break your negative thought pattern could be simple. It could just be changing your physical pattern when you need a little boost. The other way is to distract yourself by doing something like a hobby or talking on the phone with a friend, which has been proven to increase your mood in something like 15 or 20 minutes, I think. Meditating or using other relaxation techniques. So I currently will bring up healing music that I will pull up and I'll just play it because it doesn't have words. There's nothing influencing my brain, but it'll help me break my thought pattern and it refocuses me on a different energy and a positive activity, something that gives me a positive, feel-good feeling that I can kind of switch off that negative thought process or brain that's happening. Every little bit that you can do to help build neural pathways and pathways that are positive, it's in the right direction. The last technique I will talk to you about is I encourage my clients to spend time and energy identifying their dirt, which are their doubts, insecurities, resistance, and triggers, because these are the things that your mind will work on overtime, and I do mean overtime, to prevent you from experiencing life. It's because there's a natural defense mechanism in your brain, and its default is to convince you through negative thoughts to not do things to protect you from being harmed, to reject others unconsciously so you don't get hurt, or it can increase your chances of rejecting people who you love by creating negative thought patterns that will protect you from being hurt by them as well. The patterns in this situation for your dirt, your doubts, insecurities, resistance, and your triggers, they are much, much, much more difficult to spot. But they are also way more influential than you think because they're actually building walls without you even really realizing it. So subconsciously, you're building walls that protect you, and they are superficial. At this point in our lives, for the most part, unless we're running from a bear or maybe you're avoiding a poisonous snake or something like that, the risks that you take are pretty easy to mitigate and work through for the most part. You can actually prevent yourself from having healthy, happy relationships. It can actually prevent you from seeing possibility. It can keep you from going for that big raise or that big audacious goal that you've been secretly holding on to. It is one of those things that really prevents you from doing the things that you really want to do. So I love working with people on this too. I work on this when I coach people. Helping them identify their dirt and work through it is another really quick way to help them get to where they want to go. Once you've gotten to this point and you are having a little bit of a success, and once you change one or two of your thought patterns, you're going to really feel like you're not blocked anymore. And you're going to see success in ways that you really hadn't thought about. And you might even see success in ways that you have thought out, but maybe you weren't thinking were possible for you. So get help with your dirt, get help with all of your triggers and your doubts and your insecurities and your resistance, but also go back and just work on those negative thought patterns so you can start with a fresher start and you don't have the screen in front of you preventing you from doing the things that you really want to do. I think that once you realize that you can change negative thought patterns, you will have so much fun doing it. You will have so much more fun once you understand that it can happen for you. Because if you've been doing it for a while and you can't, if maybe you haven't been successful, it's frustrating, you just give up and it just kind of keeps going in a cycle. You're continuing to reinforce that behavior. So break the pattern, work on your negative thought patterns, and get to the point where you're getting really good at breaking them. I want to leave you with this thought today. You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. You can simultaneously be a wreck and have negative thought patterns, but also be headed towards a different direction of having a little bit more positivity and motivation and inspiration in your life. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Before you leave, don't forget to drop a rating or review for the show, or better yet, just share it with 3 of your friends that you think would benefit from gaining more confidence. Thank you so much for checking out the show. We come here every single Tuesday sharing tips and tricks for the best confidence that you can muster up. And I have freebies for you at thecrazyconfidencecoach.com. If you'd like to, you can sign up there and they will go directly to your email. And you will also get my lovely newsletter that I put out each month, all about confidence tips and tricks. Have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday. I love you big.